your messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And also, I like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I will introduce you to my wonderful guest, Sandra Lamb. But before that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching the show live or at a later date, as it means a lot to me to connect with like-minded women. Now, if you've never met before, then my name is Rae, and I love to help women to crossroads in their life, heal their past, create their future, and transform their present, so they can take charge of their destiny in the here and now. I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy, and I use future life progression, past life regression, angelic Reiki, angel oracle cards, guided meditation, and hypnosis to help women who feel lost get clear on their reason for being here. And I've also created some transformational packages, so do check those out. Now, each episode of the show covers various themes of your journey, a mini guided meditation or angel oracle card reading with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Sandra Lamb, who will give you some insights into how you can influence your body and mind to work to take back your control of your life. Now, Sandra is a stress and anxiety therapist, a physiotherapist, and a Pilates instructor who loves helping people understand that they can influence the way the body and mind work. And with a little help from her, they can get back into the driving seat of their life. Now, your body and mind do a pretty good job of running on autopilot most of the time, but sometimes there can be things that get in your way, such as injury, trauma, stress, or anxiety. Now, this is where Sandra comes in to assist you in getting back on track by helping give you the right attention at the earliest opportunity to your body and mind, so they're more likely to be running at their best. Now, Sandra loves the work she does, inspiring, supporting, and encouraging others to get the best that they can from their body and this experience called life. Now, with testimonials such as, "It will change your life," Sandra is some sort of wizard that makes you realize you're in the driving seat of your own life. You can take control of your emotions, and she genuinely does help you become the best version of yourself. And I would definitely recommend Sandra. She helped me so much over just a couple of sessions, and I feel that I've really benefited me. She is excellent. So without further delay, hello, Sandra, and welcome to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
Hi, it's great to be here, Rae. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. All good.
Brilliant.
How are you?
Thank you. So before we get into this fascinating conversation, I want to remind you that not only can you share this video, but you can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Sandra and I want to be part of this conversation. So please don't be shy. So Sandra, why don't you tell us more about your journey and how we can move from stress to success?
Thanks, Rae. So perhaps if I just tell you a little bit about my career journey, I suppose. I qualified as a physiotherapist back in 1987, so that's been quite some time that I've been working as a physiotherapist, looking at the physical body and helping people get back to physical fitness. But what I discovered along the way was understanding that very often people's emotions would impact on their physical recovery. And so I wanted to understand a little bit more about how I could influence that. And as a result, I trained as a clinical hypnotherapist. And then I've gone on to learn other psychotherapeutic techniques which help people to change the emotional patterns that are getting in the way of them being who they want to be. And it's about understanding the influence that our emotions have on our physical body. And I think we're all aware that, very often our body will do things that we don't want. Our heart rate will increase if we're somewhere like either exciting or fearful.
Oh, okay. We've just lost Sandra, so we'll just wait for her to come back from wherever it is she's disappeared to. As you can see my lighting here as well, which is really interesting. So we'll just wait for her to come back in. I have no idea what happened there. So we'll just talk amongst ourselves for 5 minutes. Hi, John. It's great to see you. Pranic and angelic healing, not to mention spiritual healing. Absolutely. Astral travel. Yep. Astral travel is absolutely brilliant thing to do. So yeah, it'll be interesting to hear more about that from you at some point. Yeah, so as I said, Sandra was talking about the various things that she does to help others, and I suppose herself as well, because obviously if you're doing the Pilates, I said pilots, it's actually Pilates. So, it helps keep you fit. And Sandra's back. So here we go. Hello.
Hello. I have no idea where I went to. I could still speak. I could still hear what you were saying. I could still see you, but I just completely disappeared. So apologies for that.
That's okay. I just rambled.
Yeah, no worries. I had to come right out and come back in again. So I think I was explaining really about how my interest in sort of combining the body and mind work came about, and actually how very often we don't take much notice of the influence that our mind has on our physical body. Although, as I said, many people recognize it. We know when we get nervous, our hands will sweat and our heart rate will increase. And we recognize that those are things that we don't necessarily have control over. So it's an automatic process. And the thing is, our emotions are very much automatic processes as well that will trigger that physiological change within our body. And we take it for granted sometimes that if a physiological process is just natural and normal, that emotional response is natural and normal, it's just the way it is. But it's not. It's the way it's become. It's the way things have been trained and programmed within us. And very often our emotions, our responses to certain situations will be things that we've learned as we've gone through life. And the experiences that we've had in the past can sort of almost predispose us, I suppose, to being more sensitive sometimes to some of the things that are around us in life, which will actually trigger our stress response so much more than might otherwise have happened. And that means that we can be more sensitive to stress in our environment. So I help people to understand what those things might be, to help bring them back to a calmer, more comfortable place, because we do know that if our stress levels remain high, obviously, firstly, it's not a good place to be. Nobody wants to feel stressed. No one wants to feel sort of, negative emotions and feel uncomfortable. But it also has a physiological impact on our bodies in the long term. And because I'm a physio as well, I often see people come in with tight, stiff muscles and joints, and there can be a physical cause for that. But if you can imagine that you're somebody that's stress response is in more higher alert, then one of the physical changes that come along with that is tension in our muscles, is preparing us for like a fight or flight situation. And consequently, people that have got ongoing persistent pain, very often we need to look at the emotional impact that it's having on their physical body that's creating some of these physical symptoms. And it's not that we're imagining them or that we're thinking that they're in their mind at all. They're physical changes that come about because of emotional patterns and processes that go on. So that's the kind of work I do. As I say, I also teach Pilates as well, which is kind of a crossover between the two. Many people come to me wanting to do Pilates because they do feel a bit stressed out and a bit tight, and they want to get their body moving. So it's a great way to sort of link into that mind and body experience. And sometimes people will then recognize that they need to do some more work, some more emotional work to help get to where they want to be. So it's very much about looking at the blocks, the unhelpful beliefs or unhelpful expectations that we might have in our processing, in our brain, that's stopping us doing what we want to do and being the person that we want to be.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a really good explanation. And I was just saying in that thing, I don't know why I called it pilates when I actually know it's Pilates.
Oh, don't worry. That's all
It's
right.
like, what does I know for? Yeah. So it's really interesting that. But you came, you say you went down the clinical route first of all, but what you do is a lot more spiritual. So how did you kind of like marry the two? Because when I did, obviously I didn't do clinical hypnosis. I did more of a holistic hypnosis training because I didn't really want to go down the clinical route. So how did you find that, and how did you marry that together?
Well, I think very much my background, obviously being clinical, I've worked with in the NHS for many number of years before I went into private practice. So I will always examine things from a clinical perspective. But I like to try and help people recognise the similarities, if you like, between the science and the more spiritual side of things. Now, generally, I don't necessarily have that as the foundation of the work I do, but I help people to understand how our programming can very much link to our emotions, and how our emotional intention will very much link to the outcome that we find, which is very much running along the side of, beside the manifestation of what you want to come. But help people to understand it, perhaps because they come to me from a clinical perspective. I help them to understand those principles from a more sort of clinical scientific perspective. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're
So
kind of like subconsciously getting the spiritual
so
side in.
understanding that our unconscious processing or our subconscious guides most of what we do, but our emotions and the frequency of our emotions. When I say frequency, I mean the sort of the scientific, the physical frequency, as opposed to how often they occur, will dictate what we attract to us. It attracts how we feel, it attracts the sort of energy around us. And it's really important to recognise that we are actually made up of energy. At the end of the day, that's, we are a physical state, and there's electrical energy going on inside, chemical energy going on inside us all the time, and how we can influence others by our energy, by the actual emotional state that we're in. So I try not to make it too mystical. I try to help people understand it from a more practical point of view. Obviously, if people do come and they're sort of more biases towards more spiritual, that isn't really my huge strength. I would probably direct people towards people like you. It's not, it's not my level of expertise, but it's about helping people to recognise that they have control, but there is other things that they can control outside of them that can control them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes absolute sense. We've got John here, who actually did say, when you disappeared, he actually did say that you've been astral traveling, Sandra, because he mentioned something about astral travel.
It was a great journey.
Yeah, it was. And you came back to Pat. Hello, Pat is here, and Suze is here as well. Good evening. And John has said, yes, it makes perfect sense. And that's so.
And that's interesting. That is the most common thing that people say to me. When you start to address the basic physiological principles, because before, if someone had said, particularly, so I work a lot with people with pain and the physical manifestation of pain that's presented, and they've gone through every test, every investigation. They've seen this person, that person, and the pain's still there. And when I start to help them looking at some of these emotional issues, if you like, for want of a better word, I don't really like that word, but difficulties that they're experiencing, they would never have probably said in the first place that they were struggling necessarily. Sometimes people do, but they're coping, and that's the problem. That's why they've probably got the pain, because they've got to a point of overwhelm and they've been struggling, trying to cope, and then the physical pain manifests itself. And when I explain all these things to them, then they go, actually, this does make perfect sense. Of course, it completely makes sense, and I can understand now why I might still have this pain. And when you start, asking them about different life events that could have triggered their stress response, there's quite a number of points sometimes with these kind of clients, and then they recognise, oh my God, so all these things could still be influencing me today. And I said, absolutely. And when we start dealing with them, I use a technique called brain working recursive therapy, which is a psychotherapeutic technique which just sort of breaks the cycle of the pattern of the unconscious processing. It's a really simple but very, very powerful technique that allows you to change your sort of perception almost of a situation by changing that trigger response reaction. Very simple, but really, really powerful, and it can make huge changes to how people feel. And as you know, I'm sure you're aware as well. As I say, it impacts on the energy within you and the ability for you to be able to live life as you want to be, as that person you want to be that's inside you.
Yeah, and I think we often do forget that there's stuff from our past that we've completely forgotten about because we've just got on with life, that really hasn't gone away and that needs to be addressed or sorted out to actually help us in our current life. And I think every single person, whether you're on a spiritual path or not, will find something in the past that they've completely forgotten about that suddenly comes up.
That's it. Absolutely. No, I agree. And it's almost like, people go to the gym to keep fit. In my mind's eye, we should be looking at these things, whether it be from, a spiritual perspective or more of just a, psychological perspective. But we should be looking at these things. What help do you need to help you identify what's getting in the way of you being who you are? And like you say, you may turn to somebody like yourself that can give them more guidance from a spiritual perspective, or we can begin to explore the unconscious processing, which is the sort of work I do, both for helping people understand, and the key, I believe, is to become much more aware of what those blocks are within you that are stopping you from doing what you want to do. And like you said, pretty much all of us have got stuff that can get in the way. And many of us, though, have developed such good coping strategies that we don't recognise that we're doing that, if that makes sense. Sometimes there's good that comes out of those coping strategies, but sometimes it can build up to a point where there's overwhelm, and that's when we start to get problems, as I say, with our well-being. So it's important to think, well, I'll go to a physical gym to get fit. Why would I not do the same about my emotions and the the feelings, negative feelings that I might have floating around in my head that aren't going away?
Yeah, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't think about. They think about doing the going to the gym or doing the physical thing without thinking that maybe they need to look a little bit more at the emotional side as well for it. And I mean, John has said, if we're depressed, we're living in the past. If we're anxious, we're living in the future. If we're at peace, we're living in the present.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's about being able to be in the moment without concern of what might be, what might have been, or what might be coming to the future. And that's absolutely right. But you need to get rid of those patterns, starting with the awareness, as I say, which is what both of us help people to do. So absolutely. And John does as well, by the looks of it, I should imagine.
Yes, he does. He does. He does various healing and things like that, which is pretty good for it. And that's the beauty nowadays. There's so many more people that are actually aware of the mind and body working in tandem with each other, that they're not separate. They are actually both important. One's not more important than the other. And I think in the past, that's what we've always done.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, more and more, if I'm looking at it from a clinical point of view, there is changes, there are shifts, but there is still a lot of sort of siloing of management of certain situations. We look at one part of the body, and we can't find anything wrong with that, so we go, let's go and see somebody else to look at that. And medicine is a wonderful thing, but it has become so specialist that sometimes we forget to look at the whole picture. But I have to say, the latest government guidelines that have come out around managing chronic pain is very much about including the psychological element in managing the problem. Now, some of the approaches about the psychological impact of the pain, I very much come at it from looking at the psychological reasons that the pain may be there in the first place. But it's good to see that we're starting to connect the two and say that, you can't look at these things in isolation. And, as a physio, I think it's really important that all physical people, physical therapists, or anyone that's working from a physical perspective takes on an element of understanding the psychological aspect of that client. And I'd love more and more therapists to do the same sort of things I do, as working with the two. And it can work the other way, perhaps beginning to understand more about the physical problems from the people that are dealing with just emotions, and understand that they can influence those as well. So yeah, I'd love to spread the word more widely on that one.
Well, hopefully you're doing that. Maybe write a book one day.
Well, I'm in the process of doing that, and actually, yes, that's it is taking me a little longer than I'd hoped, but I endeavour to have completed it by the end of the year. So let's see.
Brilliant.
It's about calming your worry warrior within you.
I like that. Your worry warrior.
Yeah, because many of us have a worry warrior, and that's what I say. These are the sort of the thoughts, the negative emotions, that the unhelpful beliefs and expectations that keep cropping up, and it's our worry warrior just trying to protect us. That's all it is. It's just a protection mode, and again, understanding that that's just who we've become, and that's there to protect us. We can say thank you for trying to protect us, but in actual fact I need to shift the balance on this so that I can go and do the things I want to do, because so often we don't do things because of that fear. We might not even recognize it's a fear, because we can look for excuses. Quite often we will be saying, oh yeah, but it's because of this, and because of that. But underneath we can, there is a fear that we need to, and we'd like to be able to get people to a place where they can actually make choices, as opposed to feeling that they're being directed in particular activities or certain actions by those emotions. And it's much better to be in a calmer place, that you can make those choices comfortably yourself.
Yeah, and it's definitely making your own choices and being in that position, that frame of mind to make those choices.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
As I say, I'm sure you sort of see that sort of thing with many of the people that you work with as well, don't you?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, they kind of like have the influence of others has really been a big part of their lives. That when they're sort of like, okay, you can actually take charge now. You can actually make those decisions. You actually get to choose, and they're kind of like, can I? Can I?
Mm.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And very often I spend time working with people looking at their values as well. Particularly if they're sort of struggling to find the direction of where they're going and what they're doing, and they're not finding that they get to where they want to be, because our values will underpin and reflect our beliefs and our expectations. And if they're not aligned to where you want to be going, then you won't get to where you want to go. And so often our values can become out of date. As situations change, as our lives change, our focus of attention, we're so used to our decisions and our thoughts being guided by our unconscious, then what can happen, as I say, is those values are out of date, and they're guiding you. Want to travel over this way, and your values and beliefs are telling you, no, you should be going that way, and you wonder why you can't get where you want to go. So because they're unconscious processes, we don't think about them all the time. We don't even know they're there. That's why I ask people to stop and look at their values and what's the most important thing to you. And it's a really enlightening process. It's a really helpful process to really sort of stop and take stock of everything. Say, okay, what is my priority? What is the most important things to me? What does mean the most to me? And is that going to get me to where I want to go? So yeah, it's quite a helpful little exercise to carry out.
Yeah, because I think quite often we forget, don't we, to actually ask ourselves questions about where we're going, what we're doing, when, because we really know the answers ourselves. We just forget to ask and listen.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And like, I'm sure that, like you say, the work that you do can help trigger people's uh, recognition, really, of what is going on, and having some external guidance on that, yeah, is really helpful, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, people, the external guidance to actually help them find their own guidance,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
and that they're their own, like their own sat nav, so to
yeah.
speak, really.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, when you look at, as I say, your beliefs and expectations and your values, that is like the programming in the sat nav. And you say, are these the right programs here? Are they? Is it taking me to where I want to go? Because if you've got a map of London and you're in Brighton, then it ain't going to really get you where you want to be, to the right street, is it? So
no,
yeah,
no,
so it
and you
is.
probably end up in the sea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think, like you say, being aware of all those things is the first step. And then, as I say, the next thing that I help people to understand is their purpose. I go through a little process of, and I call it the APPEAR system, sort of process, really, or system, really. It's APPEAR. So we're looking at awareness, which is what we just talked about. We then go on to identify the purpose. So be really clear about where do they want to get to? Why do they want to get there? What's it going to mean to them? How's that going to help? We then look at their perception of the situation at the moment, and then help them to shift that perception by using the techniques that I talked about earlier. Then from there, we really try and understand, so what's it going to feel like when you're there? Because if you don't create that intention of emotion about how you want to feel, you're never going to get there. If you can't connect with how you want to feel when you want to, that's what gets you there, is to really be clear about that feeling. And again, very much from the positive, because if we say we don't want to feel like something, that's going to just open up your pathways to getting you to the place where you don't want to be. We want to be really clear about how's it going to feel when you get there. So it's your emotional intention. We then look at what actions people need to take. Now they've cleared these blocks, what actions do they need to take in order to be able to get where they want to be? And then, do they need any additional resources to help? So are they in need of any additional support, training, or changing skill, or whatever, in order to be able to get where they want to be? And the resources, are so varied. There's so many different people out there, which is wonderful, as I say. And there's a different person for every person to support them on their journey. No one person is right for every person. Like, different people will be attracted to different kinds of approaches. We might all be helping people get to the same destination, but there's lots of ways to do it.
Yeah.
And it's great that we can all work together with the same sort of intention to support people on that journey.
Yeah, and it is, it's all about collaboration, community, because we just want the best for people, no matter who they are or who they go and see. It's as I always say, other people that do, angelic Reiki or future or past life regression, whether you come and see me or someone else, I don't care, so long as you go and see one of us
That's
and
it.
it actually helps you. And I'm guessing you're the same with work you do.
Yeah.
And that, as long as you see someone to do it, it doesn't really matter who.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like you say, there's enough people out there for us all to offer some support to somebody.
Exactly. There's more than enough for everyone.
Yeah.
And there's room for more and more therapists, of every genre that there is. So,
Yeah.
if you haven't thought about doing a therapy yet, go and learn one.
Yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
so many out there, whether it's spiritual, physical, in between, either side, whatever. There's so many different things out there. Me, I'm not so much of the physical side of things. I'm a little bit more, yeah, exercise. No, not really for me. Walking, yeah. Exercise, no.
Yeah, but activity, that's all we need to look at is activity. And it doesn't have to be exercise per se. It's just about optimizing your body's function, really. So it's any sort of activity. And that could be going for a walk and enjoying the beautiful countryside. It doesn't have to be in a gym getting all sweaty and doing stuff. But it's important to understand that we need to work our body in order to make it work. And it's a bit, I always like, especially as we get older, we do begin to degenerate. And I know that sounds a horrible word, but we have to work harder at maintaining what we have as we get older. Now, that doesn't mean to say that you're going to not be able to work as you get older, but we do have to put more effort into it. And we take our body for granted so often when we're young because it just does what we need it to. Exactly. But if you leave it, it's a bit like I say, it's a bit like a vintage car. As it gets older, it needs a bit more attention and it needs a little bit more, you can't leave it on the drive for 3 weeks and expect it still to work, Brand new model, getting it after 6 weeks of lockdown, not driving, it starts straight away, doesn't it? But that doesn't happen if you've got a vintage car. You need to keep turning the engine over. You need to take it for a little run all the time. And that's how our body is as well. We do need to invest time and energy into ensuring that it functions at its best, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that. Yes, we're vintage. I like that.
Yes, that's it. And as I'm not fast approaching 60, but I'm getting towards closer to 60 than to 50, then you have to keep reminding yourself that's what you do. But I have to say, I've loved movement ever since I was a kid. So that's what got me into being a physiotherapist. I just loved movement and understanding how the body moved and how the body worked and optimizing it. And that's kind of what took me through the physio path and then on to Pilates as well, because doing Pilates is just it's a great way that helps people to move gently but with control, improve your strength, improve your flexibility without breaking into a sweat, which most people like. Yeah, it still gives you a good workout. And it connects the body, connects the mind together, because it's almost like doing meditation, but for the body, because we're so focused on what you're doing, and there's so many things that you've got to put your attention into. You haven't got time to think about anything else that's outside of the room, effectively. So it gives your brain a really good rest. So yeah, it's very mindful kind of exercise.
Yeah. I mean, I've done Pilates in the past, and it is absolutely it's nice and relaxing and gentle, and you come out sort of like feeling
exactly invigorated, and you think, my body's moving, and I love the fact it moves. That's what I like.
Exactly. Oh, and that pain that I had is no longer there because I've stretched it out very gently.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So, as you know, I do guided meditations and angel oracle card reading. So each week, I like to ask my guest whether they would like me to do a mini guided meditation or pull an angel oracle card for themselves and those that are watching. So, Sandra, what would you like me to do?
I think I'll go with the oracle card. Thank you, Rae.
Funny enough, I've got them in my hand.
Lovely.
Thank you. So let's just see what the cards have got in store. What the cards want Sandra and everyone else to know. Now, when I do the cards, I don't do the cards to predict the future, which might sound a little contradiction as I work with future life progression, but I do the cards for what you need to know for your highest good at this moment in time. So it's always in the present. So when I take people into past lives, it's so they understand and heal from their past lives so they can be fully present. And when I take them into the future, if they know where they're going in the future, then they're back in the present. They don't worry so much. So what does Sandra and okay. Don't think we go with those. So what does Sandra and everyone who's watching this need to know for their highest good? What does Sandra and everyone who's watching this need to know for their highest good? So what have we got? Which is ideal. Begin now. Take your first step. How cool is that? That actually ties in with with the things that you're actually doing already, and what you've been talking about. So it is basically saying whatever your new thing that you want to do is, actually do that now. Take that first step, if you haven't already, to actually start on that path, on that journey, because the bounty that's there waiting for you is going to be immense. So yeah, start on that journey. Take that step, um, and see where it will actually go to. I hope that makes sense.
It does, yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome. And
Yeah.
again, that's the same for everyone who's watching. Begin now. Take that first step, whether that's to heal your mind and your body, to get them working in tandem with each other, to actually start doing movement now, to actually start looking at yourself, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. Take that step on that path, that journey, and just see where it takes you. So it's beautiful that card actually came out today. So, Sandra, do you have any insights or thoughts to leave our viewers?
Well, take time to look at what's getting in your way, is what I would say. If you're finding that you're not getting where you want to be, then just take stock. As we said, just become aware. If you need some support, there's plenty of people there that can help you. But just reflect on any of the negative things that might be getting in your way, of the unhelpful beliefs or expectations that you might be experiencing, because you can get past them with help. It's not who you are, it's who you've become, and is it who you want to continue to be?
Absolutely perfect. Beautiful words. Thank you so much. And John says, thank you so much, ladies. Thank you, John, for
Thank you for joining us.
watching and joining in. It's absolutely brilliant. So I hope everyone that you've enjoyed this and found this conversation insightful, because I know I have. So Sandra, if people want to connect with you, how do they do that?
My website is bodymind-solutions.co.uk. You can connect with me on Facebook or LinkedIn. My Facebook business page is Body Mind Solutions, so you can hop onto there and like that. That would be much appreciated if you'd like to find out more about the things I do. But yeah, do connect on LinkedIn, Facebook, message me if you want any more information. Or you can email me at sandra@bodymind-solutions.co.uk.
And what I do is I will put all those links into the comments so people can just click on them straight away. And of course, look out for Sandra's book, which she's going to have finished by the end of the year.
Yes,
you've said that publicly now.
I have. Take that first step. It's already run. There's a few chapters written already, so we should be getting there soon.
Excellent. So again, thank you everyone for watching. And of course, if you have reached that crossroads in your life and you need help finding the meaning of your life and getting clear on your path, then I would personally love to be that guide for you. So please feel free to reach out and connect with me, and we can arrange a free 20 to 30-minute video call to find out more about each other and whether I think I can help you take charge of your destiny or point you in the right direction. And of course, please feel free to sign up for my weekly newsletter and receive a free future life progression recording, where I take you into a future lifetime to get guidance and clarity that you can use in your current life, as well as a couple of other gifts for you. So thank you everyone so much for watching, and I would like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more women who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny just like you. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, then feel free to subscribe and hit that bell button if you want to be notified of when the show goes live or when I post new guided meditations. And I look forward to you all joining me same time, same place next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much for the invitation to be here. Bye, everybody.
Bye.